Puri Gora Amara Jitsavastani Korolo Brahmana Rangi Jitsavastana Heribo Ami Pranaya Bhakata Sangye Mridanga Bhaja Sunite Mana Abasara Sadayate Gora Bihita Kirtana Suni Anande Hridaya Nache Yugala Murti Deki Amora Parama Ananda Hoya Prasada Seva Korite Hoya Sakale Prapancha Jaya Deena Grihe Bhajana Deki Grihete Goloka Bhaya Charana Sindhu Dekiya Ganga Sukhana Sima Paya Tulasi Deki Juraya Prana Madhava Tosani Jani Gora Priya Shaka Sevani Jivana Sartakamani Bhakati Vinoda Krishna Bhajani Anukula Payata Pratidivase Paramasuke Svikara Koroyeta Sura Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Bhakata Seva Paramasiri Premalati Kula Mula Hare Krishna Jai Nityalila Vishwam Shripada Divine Grace of the A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Gauri Vaishnavrinda Ki Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Goswami Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana Ki Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Srila Prabhupad Lilamrit Ki Dai Go Premanandi. All glories to the Asamudabari. All glories to the Asamudabari. All glories to the Asamudabari. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru Gauranga. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanyamanubhistam sthapitam yena bhutale Sayam Rupakanamayam dadati swapadandikam Adadana Srinandan Devridam yache puna puna Simarupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kipasindhuvevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So what Ekadasi today? Indira Ekadasi. Today is Indira Ekadasi of the Krishna Paksha of Ashwin month, Padmanabh month according to Vaishnava calendar. So I guess that's the custom here that we read from Srila Prabhupad Lilamrit on such holy, auspicious days. Prabhupada had the extraordinary ability to bring a spiritual vision into physical reality, to change a part of the material world into spiritual entity, so that even a common man could perceive the spiritual reality. This was Prabhupada's constant effort. Often a transcendentalist hesitates to deal with the material world, fearing he may become spiritually weakened. The Vedic injunctions therefore warn the transcendentalists to avoid associating with money and materialistic persons. But Prabhupada, following the principles taught by Srila Rupa Goswami, saw that everything material had the potential of being used in the service of Krishna, and thus of regaining its spiritual nature. Following this principle, an expert devotee, although apparently acting within the material world, could remain always in touch with the spiritual energy. For such a devotee, nothing was material. This is exactly according to Bhagavad Gita. It was one nice verse describes that the performer, the action, the offered thing, everything becomes Brahm. Everything becomes spiritual by being offered in the service of the Lord. Because actually, Prabhupada explains there's no question of material. Because everything is Krishna's energy. So in that sense, everything is spiritual. There's no question of material. Material only comes when we think, this is mine. This is my body, my house, my car, my harmonium. As soon as we think that I'm the possessor of all these things, then material comes. Otherwise, if we see everything as Krishna's energy and use everything in Krishna's service, then it regains its spiritual quality. People are looking for spiritual persons that they do some magic. So this is the greatest magic, to turn matter into spirit. Otherwise in Bombay, so many big buildings are there made of marble. But why this one is special? Because this one is dedicated to the service of Sri Sri Radha Rasa Bihari. So all this marble and cement and glass and paint and everything, gold and silver, it has all become spiritual. So this is the power of devotional service. This is our mystic power. We can change matter into spirit. So this is called Yukta Vairagya. See, now to recognize that Krishna is the proprietor of everything, therefore everything can be used in Krishna's service. Just like I remember the first devotee, one devotee who made me a devotee was Bhavananda. So he was a fashion designer, interior decorator, movie maker, everything on Hollywood. Before he became a devotee. He became a devotee So when they realized he had these talents, that time that we were living in La Cienega Temple in LA. Now the temple's on Huasteca, but before Huasteca there was La Cienega. And there was no place for Prabhupada to stay, so Prabhupada was staying in a flat nearby. So once they realized that Bhavananda was interior decorator, they asked him to come while Prabhupada was out on his walk and fix up the house very nicely. So he went there with a very, very serious godbrother of ours named Karandar, who also served here in Juhu for some time. So they specifically asked him to do it while Prabhupada was out on his walk. Now Bhavananda, he was very anxious to see Srila Prabhupada, but Karandar was very serious. He said, no, we have to go. They wanted us to do so we wouldn't bother Prabhupada while he was on his walk. No, we should wait a little, just he's coming. And Karandar said, no, we should go. But just that moment, Prabhupada came in. And Prabhupada came in with big eyes. You know, when a little child, you give him something, new toy, his eyes get so big and bright. Prabhupada's eyes got big and bright as he saw how his place where he was staying had been transformed very beautifully. And Prabhupada looked all around. Then he looked at Bhavananda and he said, so, Krishna has given you this talent. Either you can decorate dance hall for naked dance, or you can decorate temples for Krishna. Everybody's using their talent just for enjoying, but devotee uses talent for the service of Krishna, and he changes matter into spirit. Therefore, even though he deals with the material energy, this was Prabhupada's great expertise, even though he dealt with the material energy, he only used it for Krishna's service. In the Vedic scriptures, the great devotee Narad Muni, because of his ability to convert materialistic men into devotees, is referred to as Chintamani, touchstone. Just as Chintamani is said to convert iron into gold, so Narad could transform a beast-like hunter into a pure Vaishnava. And as Narad is glorified in the Vedas for accomplishing such feats in bygone ages, so Srila Prabhupada is a similarly potent touchstone in the present age. Again and again he showed by his straightforward application of Krishna consciousness that he could change a materialist into a completely renounced active devotee of the Lord. And now, after recruiting a number of devotees from Maya's camp, he wanted to engage them in transforming as much as possible of the material world into living spirit. By his transcendental visionary words, he was attempting to convert stone and human energy into glorious spiritual temples. So we know Narad Muni, he met this Mrigari. Mrigari means the enemy of the animals. He was a very wretched hunter. This is a very, very wretched service, killing animals. But he was taking pleasure not so much in killing the animals, but he wouldn't kill them, he would just half kill them so they would writhe in agony. And he was relishing this writhe of agony of the animals. So Narad Muni saw this, and he told him, at least you should kill the animals. It's already bad that you're killing, but at least you kill them outright so they don't suffer. To make them suffer is very sinful. And Mrigari became very angry. As soon as you try to correct the materialist, he immediately becomes very angry. Just like the devotees, they can see what's going to happen. Sometimes people ask about predestination, that if Krishna knows what's going to happen, doesn't mean that Krishna makes it happen. Just like some person, a tree is here, branch is here, he's sitting on the branch and he's cutting here. Now if you tell him, my dear sir, you please cut on the other side. Shut up, I'm busy. Why are you bothering me? Go chant Hare Krishna somewhere else, don't bother me. And then he saw us and he comes running. How did you know? Now just because the devotee knew didn't make him fall. It's easy to see. So Narad Muni could see that just by killing animals, great suffering will be there, but to make them suffer, even more suffering will be there. He said, why are you bothering me? My father did this, my father before me did this, my grandfather did this, my great-grandfather. We've done this for years. Why are you bothering me? So then Narad Muni, before his eyes, he showed him all the sinful reactions waiting for him. Then he became frightened. He fell on the feet of Narad Muni. And Narad Muni says, you give up all this and you sit down and chant Hare Krishna. And so he became such a great devotee. Next time Narad Muni came with Parbat, maybe it was Parbat Muni or Parasara Rishi, I can't remember, one of the two great soul sages. He ran to pay his obeisances to his spiritual master, but there's some answer there. Now we never pay, we just walk, we're very proud, we just walk, we don't care what's in the way. But he saw answer there. And before paying his obeisance, he was moving the ants out of the way. As even he didn't want to, before he was torturing the animals, now he didn't even want to give trouble to an ant. This is the magic of Narad Muni. Therefore he's known as, even Parasar Rishi or Parbat Muni, whoever it was, he said, oh, you're a touchstone, you've changed this hunter in such a way. So hunter is a very nasty activity, hunting, but we were engaged in every type of nasty activity. Actually, you may know that Yamaraj, he has one assistant named Chitragupta. So many of you, those who know Hindi, you know Chitra means picture. Just like our Yadavar and Bisaka, very expert in taking pictures. So this is Chitragupta, he's also very expert. And Gupta means secret. Means you think, oh, nobody saw that. Chitragupta got you. Oh, well, nobody saw that one. Chitragupta got you. We were such people that we crashed Chitragupta's hard drive, trying to keep track of our sins. But Prabhupada turned us into such first-caste Vaishnavas that not even tea and coffee. Nobody in the world can imagine living, especially India, nobody can live without his tea, and in America they can't live without their coffee. But even that, what to speak of other simple things, even tea and coffee is gone. This was the magic of Srila Prabhupada. While ambitious materialists sometimes criticize transcendentalists as unproductive, Prabhupada, because of his constant activity, could never be so accused. Rather, people would criticize him as being a capitalist in the dress of a sannyasi. But such criticism never deterred Prabhupada. He was carrying out the desires of the previous acharyas. He had written this conclusion in his Srimad Bhagavatam even before coming to America in 1965. Therefore, all the sages and devotees of the Lord have recommended that the subject matter of art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge should be wholly and solely applied in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada wanted to convert significant portions of the material world into the spiritual world. In attempting to construct a spiritual city in Juhu, he realized he was launching a major attack against Maya. Within a few months, so many complications and headaches had already disturbed his plans, and more would come. The battle was just beginning. Sometimes Prabhupada disciples found the work to be draining and stressful. They would become bewildered. They had come to spiritual life for bliss, not for anxiety. But Prabhupada's presence and his constant encouragement helped them to remain steadfast. He knew that once they tasted the nectar of selfless dedication to Krishna, they would never accept anything lesser. He would encourage them, reminding them of the words of the spiritual predecessors like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who had said, difficulties undertaken in the course of your devotional service, I will consider the greatest happiness. This reminds us of Queen Kunti. Ordinarily, we come before the Lord every morning and we pray, please give me a break. And most people, they're praying for so many things. Give me a job and a car and a house by the sea, Swami Jai Jagadish Hari. But Queen Kunti, she came before the Lord and she was praying that I want to see all those difficulties again and again. We were praying to get a break. And Queen Kunti's praying, I want to see all those bipad, all those difficulties again and again. Why is that? Because every time we were in difficulty, then we called out to you and you came to help us. So seeing those difficulties again and again means seeing you again and again. If we see difficulties again and again, that means we'll see you again and again. And what's the benefit of that? Benefit of that means no more seeing of birth and death again and again. So I want all those difficulties again and again, because that means seeing you again and again. And seeing you again and again means seeing no more birth and death again and again. This was Queen Kunti's prayer. So just a few months ago we were hearing all the devotees describe all the great tribulations the devotees went through to establish this glorious Radha Ras Bihari temple. So it was a big headache for us. Our idea of spiritual life, sitting in the forest, chanting Hare Krishna, picking some flowers and offering to the deity. And here we're in the middle of this horrible city called Bombay. We had, when Prabhupada preached to us, because 2 weeks ago we were in Bombay, in Jaipur. And I remember that when Prabhupada preached to us in the West, we had this idea that we'll come to India and in the middle of every city there's a big temple and everybody comes and chants and dances and everything like that. And we landed first in Bombay and we said, what in the world is this place? Looks like a cheap example of the West. Of course, now it's becoming better example than the West. But those days it was a cheap example of West. And then we landed in Calcutta, that was even worse. And then we saw Delhi, that was another place. And then somehow or other we went to Jaipur, and there in the middle of the city there's this beautiful temple of Govindadev. And the whole city of Jaipur, they come and you see all the Rajasthani ladies with their beautiful colored saris and so many bangles like this and just dancing and singing, and these Rajasthanis fellow with big pink turban up to here on his head, and he's talking to Govindadev. Nobody knows what he's saying except Govindadev himself, and everybody's dancing and singing, and always they finish with Hare Krishna mantra. And everybody's standing around. Everybody buys Mahaprasad, but not for himself. They're giving out Radhe Govinda, giving out Mahaprasad. And we say, this is what we thought Krishna consciousness was. This is what we thought India was. We saw it in Jaipur. Spontaneous devotion of the people. So Prabhupada wanted to transform all of this material energy back into the spiritual world. So we'll begin another chapter. Around the world but absorbed in Bombay. Just imagine. Prabhupada was you're so lucky and fortunate to serve these deities of Radha Ras Bihari who were worshipped so wonderfully by Prabhupada. He promised to build them a beautiful temple. He was traveling around the world, always thinking about Bombay. Prabhupada traveled with 3 disciples, Shamsundar as his secretary, Pradumna as his servant and Sanskrit editor, and Nandu Kumar as his cook. The first stop was Singapore, where, without explanation, immigration authorities refused Prabhupada entry into the country. Sympathetic Indians in Singapore had arranged for Prabhupada to lecture and even mailed hundreds of invitations. But Srila Prabhupada, disappointed and feeling ill, had to continue the 12-hour flight to Sydney. So Singapore's, we call it Sin Some More. Not Singapore, Sin Some More. It's the only place Prabhupada tried to enter and they refused him entry. But it was the fault of the disciples. They wanted to know because they have so many rules and regulations. They wanted to know how is he supported? And they said, by Krishna. The devotees, without thinking, they just gave some flippant answer like that. So they stamped, no entry. So Prabhupada somehow they managed to meet those who came to the airport. They met with Prabhupada and he said, my disciples, they made some mistake, what to do? So Singapore has the infamy of being the one country in the world that refused entry to Srila Prabhupada. But now preaching is going on there like anything. Very nice devotees are there. April 1st, 1972. Prabhupada planned to stay a few days in Sydney before going on to Melbourne. Although the Krishna consciousness movement was young in Australia, Prabhupada saw positive signs. Devotees to initiate, TV and radio appearances, an interested crowd at his morning lectures in the temple. This was only his second visit to Australia. On his first visit almost a year ago, he installed the deities of Radha Gopinath and then prayed to them. Now I'm leaving you in the hands of the mlechas. I cannot take responsibility. You please guide them. You please guide these boys and girls and give them the intelligence to worship you nicely. Now when returning and seeing the deities beautifully dressed and well cared for, he felt very happy. After 5 busy days of preaching, he flew on to Melbourne. Actually, I also went to Australia. I found out there's 2 lost forests of Braj there. There's Bridgebun and Melbourne. And there's another forest, Farah forest. It's so far away, it's in Africa, South Africa, that's called Durban. That's the Durban, the farthest. Upananda, in Melbourne, Prabhupada spoke at the town hall and all the Melbourne hippies came. There was a man there called the Wizard. He used to be a professor at the university, but he had resigned his post so he could carry out his shenanigans. He was very intellectual. He was dressed in a black cape and leotard, and he got up as soon as Srila Prabhupada asked for questions. He had a group of his own followers. First, he spoke very respectfully. Excuse me, Your Divine Grace. I've been listening to your lecture, but I have one thing I would like to say in this regard. I believe that I am God. I am the center of the universe, and I will prove sometime next year that I am the center of the universe. Prabhupada said, that's all right, everybody is thinking like that. What makes you different? Actually, the wizard's whole game was that he wanted to be different. His dress, everything. So Prabhupada exposed this and exposed him as just another materialistic fool. Everyone started laughing and clapping. Prabhupada was so clever, I wouldn't have had any idea what to do with such a guy. Prabhupada, he saw everything completely spiritual. He knew how to deal in every situation. Just like one time, one of my services was selling spiritual sky incense near Los Angeles Temple. So every time I go out, I'd pass this movie theater, and there was a big marquee there, and the name of the movie was, Is There Sex After Death? And I think, oh my God, what a horrible thing. That same movie theater was on the way to Prabhupada when he went to his walk at Cheviot Hills Park. Sometimes he went to Venice Beach, sometimes he went to Cheviot Hills Park. So in the Bhagavatam class, he said, so today we passed one movie theater, they're advertising, is there sex after death? But they do not know anything about Radha and Krishna in the spiritual sky. I was seeing this movie marquee and seeing something totally mundane and horrible, and Prabhupada was seeing Radha and Krishna. That was Prabhupada's vision. Auckland, April 14th, 1970. Auckland's in New Zealand. The devotees had just opened a temple in New Zealand a few weeks before Prabhupada's arrival. Prabhupada stayed a couple of weeks and installed Radha Krishna deities. I think they're called Radha Giridhari. Does anybody know? Anyway, the temple that they finally built there in Auckland is one of the most beautiful temples in all of ISKCON. It's very, very exquisitely beautiful temple. Burijan speaking. Prabhupada installed large marble deities, but there was only one girl to take care of them. Prabhupada was insisting that the deities should be installed anyway, and they should be taken care of properly. He demanded that they should have many sets of clothes immediately. So some devotees built a temporary wooden altar and put up a curtain for the deities. The curtains fell down. Everything was going wrong. It was confusing, and everyone was upset. So Srila Prabhupada just took over. He said, put this here, put that back up there, do this, do that. He completely took command of the whole situation. The devotees put the curtains back, and Prabhupada said, get rid of this Vyasasan. And they took the Vyasasan out because it was so big and the room was so small, there was no room for the people. Prabhupada just put a mat on the floor and sat down on that. So this is probably a rented house they had before. I've seen that old rented house. Now they have beautiful farm and this temple from great distance. You can see this big, it's like 8 petals. The ceiling is an 8 different division, like an 8-petal lotus flower. And a big spire, and you see it in the green fields from a big difference. Very beautiful temple. Our godbrother Kalasambara has made a wonderful project there. They call it New Barsana. Prabhupada visited for one night in Hong Kong, where he lectured at a program arranged by Burijan and his wife, Jagatarani. Burijan speaking. We had taught the Indian children to sing prayers to the spiritual master. So we had them sing for Prabhupada. He looked at me and he was really pleased. Then he said, your wife said there was no interested people, but you have so many students here. I said, you have so many students, Prabhupada. At the end of the lecture, Prabhupada asked if there was any questions, and the little Indian boy raised his hand and asked, who started the forest fire? The boy was thinking of a forest fire mentioned in Krishna book and Krishna's pastime, but all he said was, who started the forest fire? But Prabhupada took the question in a different way, that this material world is like a blazing forest fire, just like the prayers to the spiritual master describe. So Prabhupada said, no one started the forest fire. It starts automatically, just like in the forest. By rubbing of 2 bamboos, a fire may start. But by chanting Hare Krishna, we can get out of this forest fire of material life. In Japan, the devotees lived in an old farmhouse in the hill country outside of Tokyo. Because Tokyo was still the most expensive place in the world to live. So they were outside. Srila Prabhupada stayed in a nearby hotel, installed Radha Krishna deities in the temple, and awarded sannyas to ISKCON Tokyo's leader, Sudama. Prabhupada said he knew the pulse of his devotees. Thus he had recently sensed a tendency in his leading managers to be too absorbed in management and not enough in preaching. He had been telling his secretary that GBC men should not simply sit behind their desks and try to centralize power, but should become detached, take sannyas, and travel and preach. With this in mind, he had ordered sannyas orders to 2 of his GBC secretaries, Tamal Krishna and Sudama. Now he advised that they not give up their managerial burden, but follow his example of preaching and managing their GBC zones in a renounced spirit. Shamsundar speaking. Prabhupada's hotel room had rice paper walls and was very cold. It was like coming back into the northern climate, but without central heating. One day I came to Prabhupada's room for Mangalartik, and I had a blanket wrapped around me, and I said, are you cold, Prabhupada? I could see he didn't like the cold, but he wasn't going to let that stop him from serving Krishna. Nandu Kumar speaking. At the Sunday feast, there was about 30 Japanese people, mostly young, and every single one brought Prabhupada a flower, put it at his feet, and paid full dandavas. They were so respectful. Prabhupada said that it was a good sign that these boys and girls are able to honor a saintly person. Burijan speaking. We had arranged a program in Kobe. Many Indians and Sindhis lived there. It was a long journey out of Tokyo. They put Prabhupada on the 3rd floor of the house and there was no elevator. Prabhupada just put his chin out and walked right up, even though it was a tremendous effort for him. The engagement was arranged in such a poor way that on the same speaking program with Prabhupada was a Mayavadi sannyasi. Prabhupada wanted to speak first, so he spoke in English. There were quite a few Indians there, about 100. Prabhupada explained very clearly and strongly that Krishna is God. Then the other sannyasi began to speak in Hindi. Prabhupada was just sitting there with his eyes closed, chanting japa. Suddenly he looked at us and said, "Start kirtan immediately." So we got up in the middle of the sannyasi speaking and started kirtan. Prabhupada left quickly after the kirtan. We got back to the room with Prabhupada, explained what had happened. He said first he was preaching nicely, then he started explaining Panchopasana, about the 5 different features of the Absolute Truth. And then he said that the Supreme ultimately is impersonal. I could not tolerate, Prabhupada said. I am like a lion when I am out and a lamb when I am home. Prabhupada had business in Tokyo with his printer, Dai Nippon. He was greatly pleased with the faith Dai Nippon Printing Company placed in him, giving him hundreds of thousands of dollars credit just on his word. One of the Dai Nippon executives even approached him submissively, inquiring whether his son, who had died a year and a half ago, had gone to the Buddha. A young Japanese executive who translated the older man's questions and Srila Prabhupada's answer explained to Prabhupada, since then he has been very religious. He was the eldest son, Prabhupada asked? 20 years, youngest son. The two executives spoke briefly. He is asking how he can be relieved from such sadness when his son died. Oh yes, Prabhupada said. The point is that the success of everything depends on how Krishna is satisfied. That I have explained. He related the example of Sandipani Muni, the spiritual master of Krishna Balaram. Sandipani Muni's son had died, and he requested his 2 students, "My dear boys, I lost my young child. If you kindly bring him, then I will be very much pleased." So when Krishna went to the planet of Yamaraj and brought his son back. So you try to satisfy Krishna and you will be blessed. Your son will be blessed. You pray to Krishna. Wherever your son may be, he will be happy. You believe in reincarnation, next birth? The man spoke to the elder executive in Japanese. The older man nodded. Prabhupada continued, so your son, he must have taken a body somewhere. So if you pray to Krishna, your son will become happy. He will benefit. When Prabhupada's GBC secretary for the Western United States, Karandar, arrived in Tokyo to assist in dealing with the Dai Nippon Printing Company, Prabhupada talked with him about his new project in Bombay. He also wrote 2 letters to Giriraj urging him to begin constructing the Bombay buildings as soon as possible. He wanted Giriraj to model a temple after Jaipur's famous Govindaji temple and erect beside it a modern high-rise hotel. And then you shall have the perfect Juhu plan. Prabhupada said Hans, now Surabhi, should finish the drawings and get the city council's approval by June so that they would begin the foundations before the monsoon. I do not think it is possible, Prabhupada wrote, but you can try for it. That will be nice. That was Prabhupada's wonder, that though something was impossible, he said, you try for it. We have this idea of humility of just, yes, Prabhu, Jai Prabhu, all glories to you, Prabhu. But Prabhupada's humility was he was completely surrendered to Krishna. He was ready to take risk. He was ready to do anything for Krishna. That is humility. Just think, yes, I am nothing but a servant of the previous acharyas, so let me do something to please them. That is real humility, not that just like this. So it was impossible, just like our dear God brother Shamsun has written that book, Chasing Rhinos. To chase a rhino, that's impossible. But Prabhupada encouraged always Shamsun, you chase after the rhino. And he caught so many rhinos. Hawaii, May 6, 1972. During Prabhupada's week-long stay in Honolulu, he installed the 5 deities of the Panchatattva: Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Sri Gadadhar, and Srivas. He also lectured on yoga at a local yoga meditation center. During his morning walks on the beach, he spoke about the fallacies of Darwinism. Waikiki Beach, he commented, was not as beautiful as Juhu. Wow. Nanda Kumar speaking. At that time, all the devotees in Hawaii were wearing sleeveless t-shirts and bright colors, and they had really big sikas hanging down very, very long. Srila Prabhupada said, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sikha is 1.5 inches across, no bigger. Bigger Sikha means another sampradaya. They have to be knotted. So I told everyone that. They came back all bright and shiny with saffron shirts and proper sikhas. Govindadasi, Prabhupada stayed at a big house on the Makapu side of Oahu, right on the ocean, a very pleasant place. In the morning, Prabhupada would walk on the beach, and when he would return from his walk, he would sit down on a wooden bench on a little rock patio. We would all sit around, and he would give a little morning lecture. Later, he would walk around in his room chanting. One evening, I went in while he was chanting, and he said, 16 rounds finished today? And I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. I am on my 16th now. He said, that is good. Prabhupada was also thinking a lot about his Bombay center, and he asked me to do architectural rendering of his idea for the Bombay buildings. Fortunately, an architect friend drew it up very nicely, and Prabhupada was pleased with it. Prabhupada had received a letter from a French disciple, Mandakini Devidasi, who was going to join a Russian boy in the Soviet Union. She was going there to marry him and assist him in propagating Krishna consciousness. When Prabhupada read this letter, he smiled in ecstasy. The thought of the Krishna conscious movement increasing in Russia gave him great joy. We can't imagine the ecstasy Prabhupada must feel in Golok, seeing how Krishna consciousness is just going like garam jalebis in Russia. Everywhere there's temples. It's such a huge country. I one time met my friend, he said, I'm leaving for such place. That was 9-hour flight within the same country. And so much Krishna consciousness going on there. Then he turned to Govindadas and he said, preach while you are young. When you are old, retire to Vrindavan and chant Hare Krishna. Therefore, these centers in India are being built. You cannot retire unless you have preached sufficiently. The mind will agitate. If you have preached, you can retire and chant Hare Krishna. So preach as much as possible. That was Prabhupada's, what is that? Preach now, samadhi later, what was it? Work now, samadhi later, all right. So Prabhupada said these temples in India were built so we can come and retire. Although sometimes Prabhupada could spend only a day or even only a moment with the individual devotee, that brief association would leave permanent inspiration. The devotees would realize that although Prabhupada had touched them and given them guidance in a way that made the most important moments in their life, Prabhupada was also beyond the moment and the place that he shared with them and was contemplating deeper issues and praying to Krishna with an intensity they could not yet understand. Prabhupada received a letter in Hawaii from Giriraj that made him doubt his Bombay manager's abilities to deal with the clever Mr. N. Giriraj had reported matter-of-factly he had just paid 7,500 rupees to Mr. N. And Prabhupada wrote back, on what account is that paid? Giriraj had intended it to be an installment toward the agreed 2 lakhs per year that they were supposed to pay Mr. N after they had received the deed. But why should they be unnecessarily paying Mr. N since they still had no deed? Prabhupada began to worry about his Hare Krishna land. Those days, 7,500 rupees was a lot of money. I remember the first time I came to India, chai was 50 paisa on the train. Now it's 5 rupees. Huh? So 7,500 rupees, that would be a lot of money now, those days. Time and time again, his thinking turned to Bombay, Vrindavan and Mayapur. But he did not talk much about the problems. Rather, the devotees and non-devotees in each place he visited got the full blessings of his attention. While lecturing on Srimad Bhagavatam, he was in full concentration. And when he spoke privately, cultivating a great guest or guiding an individual, he fully gave himself. That he took the opportunity for many persons and worldwide matters and did it so graciously, always appearing before his devotees each morning on a walk or in the temple as fresh as a morning blooming lotus, was the expert nature of his devotional service to Krishna. He was always open and simple, with a motive so pure that anyone could see it, and that he was so grave beyond anyone's vision. He served Krishna simply each time and place, whether riding a hotel elevator with his disciples in Hong Kong, or curiously noting the details of Japanese culture, or walking on the beach beneath a Hawaiian sky. So this begins another big section, so I think we'll put our voice to rest here. Srila Prabhupada ki. So like I said, you're all very fortunate to serve here in this place. That Prabhupada, wherever he went in the world, Prabhupada was always meditating on this Mumbai. And he's established these exquisitely beautiful deities of Radha Ras Bihar. You're so lucky to be here serving them. Hare Krishna.